We welcome those of you who were hit by that lightning delay and unable to watch Texas A&M. This is the first play from scrimmage. Anthony Jennings, home run ball, off for the races. Craven Durrell, the first score of the night. Book it. I said, Jesse, they'd have to go the hard way. That was pretty easy, right?
Easy, hard way. Unbelievable throw and timing by Anthony Jennings, throwing to maybe the fastest receiver on this squad, Craven Durrell.
He says he's the fastest.
He looked like it right there, didn't
he? Yes, he did. Colby Delahousse. Brad Craigthorpe, the holder. He pulled that one. No good. No good. So take a look at the young man. Only a sophomore. No chance. SEC West, here's an alert. These youngsters can flat play in Baton Rouge.
In this moment, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance that you do. What matters right now is the quality of your independent insurance agent.
Glad you're okay, Sarah. We'll take care of everything.
And the company that stands behind them.
Thanks so much for your help.
No problem.
Auto Owners Insurance.
My name is Shirley, and this is my house, my hands, my equipment. And every morning I suit up and start from scratch because there is no machine that makes a biscuit better than me.
The made from scratch fried bologna and Velveeta biscuit. New at Hardee's.
I get goosebumps when I find a low price.
I let him know every time I save $1.
Every time.
Now there's a tool made for you. Introducing Savings Catcher from Walmart. It compares prices to top stores in your area.
No more driving all over town.
If there's a lower advertised price, Walmart will give you the difference on an e-gift card.
Oh, money!
Every penny counts.
Yep.
Try the Savings Catcher for yourself. Go to walmart.com/savingscatcher and enter your receipt. Save money, live better. Walmart.
Of course we all play fantasy football around here, but the NFL guys, they play Fantasy Sports Center.
I'm taking the Gandhi. At least the guy's got desk presence.
Lee? He's gonna have a bad hair year.
There's my boy. Bring the heat this year. And there goes my season.
Aflac welcomes fans to the SEC Network.
We welcome you back to Tiger Stadium. Texas A&M in a lightning delay. Meanwhile, lightning has struck of a different kind here in Baton Rouge. But remember this, missed extra points sometimes come back to haunt football teams.
No doubt about it.
But remember this, missed extra points sometimes come back to haunt football teams.
No doubt about it. Offense, defense, and special teams all being evaluated by that guy right there, Les Miles, in this game. I'll tell you what, you could not ask for a better start if you're this LSU offense. After having some ups and downs against Wisconsin last weekend, whoa.
Trento Mang kicks it away for the second time, and he has demonstrated a strong leg out of the end zone on both occasions. Jesse, take us to the board, lad.
Sam Houston State is selling out to stop the run. Take a look, they got about 10 guys close to the line of scrimmage, and that sets up a one-on-one opportunity outside with Craven Durrell and Sam Houston State cornerback Mikel Everett. This is called a 9 route. They spent a lot of time this offseason working on this route, and I think Anthony Jennings is an outstanding deep ball thrower, and there you see the self-proclaimed speed by Craven Durrell. What an opening for LSU in this young, little bit inexperienced offense.
Hill back in as the running back. Jared Johnson who had the team on the move until he pitched an interception, and Hill has been at the point of attack. John Chavis makes a quick change, and Hunter is all over the ball carrier that time.
This defense is loaded with speed in the secondary at linebacker, and there's Daniil Hunter, who they think is the next great defensive line at LSU.
Here's the up-tempo, spread the field, 4 receivers. Now Johnson checks the sideline, and Lewis also wants to get a better look. He's number 9 right there. Ladarius Brown, the bottom of your screen, number 85. Johnson steps up in the pocket nicely and throws it away. So he's been inaccurate on his 2 long throws.
Yeah, Brent, we talked about for them to even have a chance in this game, the level of execution, especially in the passing game, is going to have to be almost perfect. There's going to have to be great protection. There was right there. The timing needs to be better. The location of his throws need to be better in order for this offense to maintain possession.
3rd and 15. Tigers show blitz over there with Ricky Jefferson, and then he backed away. Now he's coming. Left tackle's got in trouble. Sacked at the 15. Rasco is there. Jamarie Rasco out of Shreveport, Louisiana.
It's going to be very hard for Sam Houston State if they get into a lot of 3rd and long situations. You do not want to allow this athletic front from LSU to pin their ears back like what you just saw these last 2 snaps.
Here's an oddity for you. We've got 2 punters from Australia tonight.
Whoa.
Here is Lockie Edwards for the Bearcats, standing near his goal line, and White, the defensive back, set to return, and this is not a good one. It's off the side of the foot. They'll mark it at about the 41-yard line. The Tigers, the young Tigers, about to go back to work, leading by 6.
Helping them understand the transition from being a highly touted freshman into performing on the field, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. An interesting look at the veteran Hilliard. Lost some weight in the offseason. He had the game winner against Wisconsin. And this is Hilliard right here, stepping out to about the 48-yard line.
And Brent, I think the biggest physical advantage LSU has in this game is up front on the offensive line. They are huge. They average 320 pounds per player, about 60 pounds on average, more than the defensive line for Sam Houston State, and that has to demonstrate itself tonight.
Connor Neighbors is that fullback set at the power I, and it looks as though LSU, with Cam Cameron calling plays upstairs, may try to work that offensive line that Jesse told you about right now. That is a very power formation, and here they come. Hilliard behind Neighbors, breaks for the first down. Jesse, you mentioned Copeland in the meetings.
Well, yeah, they lost a fullback in J.C. Copeland last year that was 270 pounds, but they got this new fullback that you were talking about, Connor Neighbors, is a lot more agile.
Steady diet of Hilliard, and Wade, the safety, makes the stop for the Bearcats.
And this is still going to be a power run team first. They've made a living since Les Miles has been the head coach, running against 8- and 9-man fronts. There's the fullback Neighbors. They can do a little bit more with him in this offense because of his athleticism.
Looks like they want to experiment with a little up-tempo here. Play action, Jennings in trouble, throws beautifully to that far sideline, and it was caught by Trey Quinn, the slot man. Boy, the only person who could touch that football was the receiver. Folks, that was a great toss to the sideline.
One of these talented young true freshmen. We talked about Fournette and Dupree, but what about Trey Quinn in the hands?
Coming right back with this up-tempo attack. And so Hilliard crosses the 30-yard line, and that stop was made by Agbaroji. Eric Agbaroji made the stop. Play action again. Jennings had plenty of time. Goes in zone. Touchdown! Durrell's second of the game.
Seen some curveballs early from this LSU offense. First play of the game, touchdown, then running the football up-tempo, opening the middle of the field for, again, Traven Durrell on a delayed post route, and another perfectly placed football by Anthony Jennings.
Good player to have. playing an SEC fantasy. Wow. Delahousse, and he pulled it again, but that one's good. So the Mad-Hatter jumps out ahead of Casey Keeler, the Sam Houston State Bearcats. And that's a young team from the FCS, and they'll try to stop the bleeding. Speed and good hands, Jesse.
No doubt about it. Speed kills. You're seeing it tonight. Balance and stay out of those 3rd and long situations against this LSU D.
Shocked on the sideline, obviously. Stunned here in the early going. 10 minutes to go and down a couple of touchdowns already. Frank and Hill are the return men. And he's about to be 3 for 3. 3 touchbacks. That'll help you when you got a leg like that. They've got 2 fine kickers, actually. Kick it off. They've got Cameron Gamble out of Flower Mound, Texas. Like Domang, he's got big legs.
Yeah, and Brent, we're going to find out a lot about Sam Houston State right now. You just mentioned the shock value. You come into this environment, you look up on the scoreboard, only a couple minutes off the clock, you're already down 2 touchdowns in this game. But remember, Sam Houston State had the big stage early. They opened up the college football season on national television on the road at then #1 Eastern Washington in the FCS. So a lot of these guys have been in big situations already this year. Now it's time for them to respond for their head coach, Casey Keeler.
Williams is the new running back, and he'll get the carry. And nothing doing. Brought down on the 24, and again it is Hunter. And since we are at the top of the hour here in the Central Time Zone, 7 o'clock, those of you who are looking for Texas A&M, they are in a weather delay right now. So that network, the Aggies were getting ready to play them on. They've come and joined us for the time being. They'll take the right back where there's a chance to play. And running Donovan Williams, Jr., and Jalen Mills is there defensively.
I think you have to use the athleticism of your quarterback, Jared Johnson, and put pressure on this LSU defense, particularly on the edge. That was a great play call and a speed option, putting LSU players in space and setting up 3rd and short.
Johnson's 0 of 2 thrown, and he pitched an interception. 3rd down and 3. Johnson on target that time, and that's Lewis, and breaks the tackle, still going. 40, 35, fine run to the 27. Thomas able to finally get him down, but that was nifty.
And he looked for the right guy. Jedediah Lewis in the slot, very, very quick. Does a good job after the catch, and that was an example of better execution in the passing game. Johnson knowing where to go pre-snap. Wide receiver beating man-to-man coverage for a big chunk play.
39 yards on that play. Frank is now a running back. Close to a 1st down. Ridgeway Frank out of Spring, Texas. He's the senior running back, and Martin, another safety, forced to make it. So when they get daylight behind the center of the guards, they've been effective.
Yeah, they got some big-time athletes at the skill positions.
That motion, that jet sweep look, and nothing doing this time. Hunter is right there, and so is Thomas, who's been very active. But that youngster Hunter, now he's a dandy.
Yeah, no doubt about it, he is. Here's a key 3rd down now, trying to respond after going down 2 scores. And we talked about how Sam Houston State needs to win on the perimeter. A lot of those big-time transfers they got are playing wide receiver. In the man-to-man situations, this is where they have to show up and win.
They might make this a 4-down series right here. Down 2 touchdowns early, down near the red zone. Should they not make it and leave themselves in short yardage, I would expect them just to bounce right back up and go. Let's see what Jared Johnson comes up with. He's going to try to pitch for the 1st down. Got it. No, put on the ground down there and incomplete. I thought he had it, but it came out of Edwards' hands. He's a transfer from Texas Tech.
You know, and he needs to make that play. It's a very good throw by Jared Johnson. It's a better play by the cornerback, Tre'Davious White, popping it free. Now here's your 4-down territory now. Who's going to win on the perimeter of the field? This might be a situation where you keep it in the quarterback's hands, maybe speed option, get him outside, give him a run-pass option to use his legs.
The assistant signaling on the play for the sideline. Good look at that. Dangerous throw. Incomplete. That's a tough pass on a 4th down when you're trying to pick up a 1st down. You got to throw that ball perfectly against a very talented secondary and drop it in.
You know, it's one thing to have transfers.
Coach is not happy with the decision.
No,
he is not happy.
It's a high-risk throw, Brent, and you do have transfers playing wide receiver. But again, you're going up against Tre'Davious White, who one day I think is going to be a first-team all-conference cornerback. That's just blanketed. That football needs to be thrown perfectly on 4th and short. Now you give the football right back.
Here comes our first look here tonight at number 7, Leonard Fournette. You people who want to see the ballyhooed youngster, the running back from New Orleans, St. Augustine High School, here he is. He's number 7. Swinging to the right. And stopped right about the line of scrimmage. Wade coming up again. He's one of their better tacklers. Led the defense that time, and it'll be 2nd down.
He's very talented, Brent. I think a lot of people watched his game against Wisconsin, and they were disappointed. Only 18 yards after 8 carries. But when you go back and we watch the film, not a lot of places for him to run in that game. I think it's important, again, for him to build some confidence tonight. This offensive line needs to do a better job opening holes for young Fournette because, again, 230-pound back that can run like that, he can hurt you.
Steps to the left. And this will bring up a big 3rd down. Again, it's Wade, very active as a safety. Number 2, he's out of Arp, Texas, senior, 5'11", 195, and he comes up and hits a fella pretty good.
You got to give Sam Houston State's defense credit for playing downhill, playing a little bit more recklessly against the run, now setting up a 3rd and long. And this is a defense that likes to bring pressure. The defensive coordinator, Mike Collins, dials up some exotics. Looks like they're showing it here.
They bring McGee in, and he's wearing that familiar number 18 that he was awarded. And a good pass protector, picked up his man, and that allowed Jennings to hit Quinn for the 1st down. But if you get a chance, watch number 18, Terrence McGee, pick up the defender, make sure that Jennings had enough time. He does a lot of dirty work for you. That's why they gave him the number 18. Jennings keeps it down to the 40. Let's go back.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Brent. Starts with pass protection. Look at 18 right here. Pick up the safety blitz off the edge, and he gives Jennings a clean pocket to throw from. And how about the hands again from the other true freshman, Trey Quinn, who was ranked the 3rd best receiver in high school last year. I mean, Les Miles brought in a loaded recruiting class, and you're seeing Trey Quinn right now make a bunch of plays.
Signals. Gonna go deep down that side. Miscommunication. Receiver and quarterback not on the same page.
It was the exact same play call they had on the opening play. Anthony Jennings saw the look outside. It was a loaded box from the defense. He knew he had his fastest wide receiver on the perimeter. And obviously, again, as you say, miscommunication. And I think some of that's to be expected, quite honestly. You got a guy and a quarterback making only his 3rd start tonight. Traven Durrell, only a sophomore. Only 10 career catches coming into this game. So, you know, they're replacing a lot of lost talent at the skill spots and some of that inexperience showing up.
Malachi Dupree has checked in, number 15. The ballyhoo freshman has lined up at wide receiver. Jennings is back. Now going to take off and run for the 1st down. Plus, crosses the 45 to the 44-yard line. And, you know, the coaches wanted him to do this.
Yeah, I think he brings a different dimension to this offense versus when they had Zach Mettenberger. He can extend plays in the passing game with his legs. He can also run the zone read. He can run the option, the quarterback draw. There's a lot of different things that offensive coordinator Cam Cameron can dial up with Anthony Jennings or Brandon Harris playing quarterback.
Fournette checks back in. Against a stacked box. There were like about 8 or 9 defenders for the Bearcats that just moved up in that box where they saw number 7 back there and fight. Another safety comes up to make the stop.
And you roll the dice a little bit if you're Sam Houston State, having all those people close to the line of scrimmage to stop the run. Obviously, you risk having the football thrown over your head, like we've seen already in this game. And then, of course, if a running back breaks a tackle, he's off to the races. There's nobody in the back end.
To the fullback, signaling the tailback as to which direction they're going to be going. Fournette cuts away from it and has daylight. His best run by far of the season. Hello, Leonard Fournette. Yards for Fournette.
There you had a chance to see the speed, but you also had a chance to see tremendous vision on the cutback and how much of a load Leonard Fournette is once he gets into the open field. Again, 230 pounds, very difficult to be brought down. That's the type of run that gets your confidence going, gets the blood pumping. You can see a very different football player from this point out in his career after that type of run.
Stays in the game, gets a toss, wanted to give him his first touchdown, and they do. A little early for that pose, young man, but sure that Coach Miles appreciated the celebration. However, Delahousse tacks on the extra point.
SEC college football fans, say hi to Leonard Fournette. Taking a look at these two runs, see the vision here on the cutback, looking it to his right, putting his foot in the ground and showing you some speed and versatility and tackle-breaking ability out in the open field. He's built to be a red zone back. You see here down in close. Vision against speed once he sees the hole to hit it. Leonard Fournette, welcome to the SEC.
This, however, to a 3-touchdown lead. If you're just checking in with us, they misfired on their first extra point. Their phenom, Fournette, has scored his first touchdown. And that's 4 for 4 on touchbacks with the kickoff. So we want to take you back to this. Jesse, you said that the young man, one of his goals was to win a Heisman. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did. He said that this offseason, and part of the reason why the expectations on him were so high, and you understand he's very excited, just scored his first collegiate touchdown, but he drew the ire of Les Miles. He wants him to be a freshman. The experience is part of learning and maturing both on and off the field, and Les Miles right there gave him an earful.
You want to be very careful in situations like that. Also, you could be called for a celebration.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably should have been.
Williams, the running back, here for the Bearcats. He breaks to the linebacker level out to the 28. Let's, Maria, what did you think about that Heisman pose down below?
Well, after seeing what Les Miles' response was to it, actually Kenny Hilliard went up to Leonard Fournette, and you could kind of see him doing that bring it back down hand motion, and they sat right next to each other on the bench right after and continued a discussion about that touchdown celebration. Yeah,
good veteran leadership down there, Jesse. That could mean so much to a club in the locker room and on the sidelines. Fournette probably feeling a little bummed out about the coach jumping on him, and Hilliard just reminds him, what you got to do.
There's a lot of internal competition, certainly at the running back position, but you love to see that from Kenny Hilliard, the leader of that group, helping out the young true freshman.
Pressure. Johnson flush to the left.
Started.
There's a penalty flag thrown back at the 23-yard line.
Holding offense number 74. Penalties decline. 4th down.
That's Donald Jackson, the starting left guard. The offensive line with its hands full here tonight. You can see that there was a lot of pressure in that pocket. Johnson had to step on the outside. He's only 1 of 6 here tonight, and he has 1 pass intercepted. So let's see what the Aussie comes up with this time. White to return it. Played Australian rules football. much better than his first punt. And White gambled a little bit, and it'll be spotted on the 20-yard line. And a reminder that the college football season continues on the SEC Network. Next Saturday, triple header. Central Florida and Missouri. Then at 4, Louisiana Lafayette takes on 15th ranked Ole Miss. And finally at 7:30, Jesse, you and I will travel down to your old stomping ground, the Swamp. Kentucky, Florida. The Gators exploded today.
How many did they put? 65 points today? Is that what we saw? Kurt Roper, their new offensive coordinator, came over from Duke. Tremendous balance in their game today against Eastern Michigan. Of course, it was the first time we got to see them this year. Their first game was postponed because of lightning.
The handoff, and make no mistake about it, as Hall makes a stop. There was no way that Fournette was coming back out. And now here's Fournette with Hilliard. So they put the veteran out there, show this formation. 2nd down and 1. And a reminder that the Texas A&M game, we've just been told, is going to resume in about 25 minutes. So if folks expected to see the Aggies against Lamar, you will. And there comes Hilliard.
It's going to be a running back by committee approach again. We've seen that over the last 3 years at LSU. Under Les Miles, they've got 3 good ones in Kenny Hilliard, Terrence McGee, and Leonard Fournette. And this is very creative by Cam Cameron, putting Kenny Hilliard at fullback on that last play. And I think that's the advantage of playing in games like this early in the year. You can experiment with different personnel packages.
There's Fournette trying to swing around the end, and not a whole lot doing on that stretch play with Leonard that time. Let's talk about Cam Cameron, because Jesse, as you know, I feel strongly that he helped this LSU offense a great deal when he came for the Baltimore Ravens. And, professional play caller, he's up there, second from the right. You can see him talking into the headset. Was once the head coach at Indiana, and he was with the Baltimore Ravens. And then he came down here. I thought young Mettenberger improved dramatically under his coaching. Makes a big difference. Hilliard, the running back, and here's the resume of our coach.
I think one thing he did last year was really open the playbook here at LSU. For years, we had seen conservative I formation, run, play action pass, and that changed last year with him calling plays.
Hilliard, steady dive up the middle. Let's talk about the middle now of this offensive line for LSU and what they've got. A new center, Elliott Porter, has been suspended. So Ethan Hosek, number 77, is in there. Poco Fanaika, the right guard. Vidal Alexander is at left. Hawkins and Collins. Lael Collins, number 70, could wind up on that all-SEC team. He's over on the left side. If there's anything about the SEC, look to the defensive and the offensive lines. They are better almost across the board than the rest of the country. This is where the difference is. In the lines. Jennings going deep. And it looked like that time Terrell was covered well. There was a man back chattering away up back there. Effort.
Well, they're picking
on him. Be careful now.
They're picking on him now. That's the 3rd time that Anthony Jennings has tried to go after that corner with Traven Durrell. I actually thought, watching that live, Frank, that if Durrell just kept running instead of jumping and leaving his feet, he might have run just under that ball and scored.
Stoppage here. See if they came to the end of the first before they snapped the ball. It looks like they might have.
Game clock operator, please put 1 second on the clock. We had an incomplete pass. 1 second on the clock, please.
Good official. In fact, you know, Jesse, this is the 3rd different crew we've had. It's 3 games down here in the SEC. Officiating has been very good in this conference so far. They had a replay turnover that was fairly obvious early in this game.
Came ready to play early this year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Fournette, great hands, 1st down. That'll end the first quarter. So we had early fireworks here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The first home game of the season.
It's all about the sound. Now, top 3 in my house, no doubt.
And this is a young man who lives in New York, folks. Okay? And this is McGee, and he's wearing that number 18. I think about Matty Mock, the quarterback who wore number 18 here. They won a national championship back in 2003. And then after that, the number was given to Jacob Hester and another national title in 2007. The coaches and the captains give it to a young man who is unselfish, dedicated to the team, does all the right things. McGee has been switched from wide receiver to running back and back again, and here he is, the familiar number 19, one of the more famous numbers in the SEC, barging ahead. So for number 18, barging ahead.
And he deserves it. I mean, he's everything that you just talked about, what that number embodies here in recent years since 2003. From a leadership standpoint, from a success standpoint, unselfish. The things he does in this offense oftentimes go unnoticed. We saw him pick up a big blitz earlier. Just a big-time player for LSU.
They feed him the ball again. He crosses into the red zone. There is a nice stop made by the middle linebacker, and that is Tristan Etche, who's very outstanding.
It's been an unbelievable start for this LSU offense. See this number, just the balance they have. Yards per play, they're just gashing Sam Houston State. You love that if you're Cam Cameron, seeing young players, inexperienced players in the skill positions playing very well.
Jennings again, pockets clean, end zone deflected, a little long, and Everett was able to get a hand on it and knock it out of the back of the end zone.
There's Everett, the cornerback, number 6, a guy that's been picked on in this game early. He's out there on an island. Again, we talked about Sam Houston State loading the box, selling out, trying to stop the run. So he's covering Traven Durrell, the best wide receiver at LSU, mano-a-mano. That's a ball, you know, if he catches that, you know, that probably could have been an easy interception. I think he knows that right now. LSU gets away with it.
See what LSU comes up with here on a 3rd and 5 in the red zone. With the 3 wideouts down to the right. Durrell with 2 touchdown passes. He's the bottom man. And he'll be matched against Everett, and we've got a timeout.
Timeout. LSU, it's their first. It's 30 seconds.
Well, a reminder to tune in Sunday. SEC Network brings you a rewind of a classic SEC game. Georgia, South Carolina in 2002. David Pollock and Georgia's defense rise to the occasion and help the Bulldogs a win against the Gamecocks. SEC Rewind, Georgia, South Carolina 2002, Sunday at 10 p.m. on the SEC Network.
Brent, we're sitting here right now early in the second quarter, and we've seen a lot of these LSU youngsters having some success, right? Anthony Jennings, the quarterback, Fournette at running back, Traven Durrell, Quinn, etc. It's so important that these young guys find that early in the season. In these games where they're playing an overmatched opponent, they need to build confidence before they get into the teeth of the SEC schedule. Remember, in 2 weeks, Mississippi State's rolling in here, and that's a big game. And I can remember when I played at Florida early in the year, we play a lot, you know, Citadel, a lot of teams from the MAC, and it wasn't great competition, but it got the young players a lot of reps, a lot of freshmen, a lot of confidence before we had to play Tennessee in week 3. And as you remember back in the day, that Florida-Tennessee game week 3 was huge for us in the SEC to determine the winner.
Exactly.
So it's big, and if you're Les Miles right now, you have to like how your young guys on offense are playing right here early, because this pays dividends down the stretch for LSU.
Sam Houston State, the Bearcats, over the last decade, they've had outstanding records. The FCS playoffs, down to the final a couple of times. Each of the division right now features North Dakota State. Jennings, end zone. Durrell again. Oh my goodness. Traven Durrell is having a breakout game already this season with 3 touchdowns here.
We knew Traven Durrell had speed, but he's showing off his best Megatron impersonation right here. How about the range for a 6'2" wide receiver high pointing the ball?
Remember, he was a track star, he told us that meeting, and he high jumped 7 feet.
That's right.
Okay, take a look at that vertical right there.
Did you believe him when he said it?
Well,
I think we might be a little bit more prone to believing him after watching that catch. I think I was with you, partner. I thought 7 feet. What?
Once upon a time, that would have been a world record when I was a kid. LSU. Now, I want you to watch him get up in the air. And then hang on. Great play. 3 touchdowns for the night. Could be these and tablets whenever you need it. Well, Domang 4 for 4 on his kickoffs. Turned around kicking the other way. And we will see what Trent Domang comes up with here. Mandeville, Louisiana. Went to St. Paul's High School. Big leg. Into the breeze from the 3. Here comes Frank. To the 15, and let's check in the studio, and here's Dari Noka. Dari?
Brent, thank you much. It is an SEC Right Now, brought to you by State Farm, and we're looking at the weather in College Station. It is not looking good, guys. We're hoping at best it'll be still a little bit over half an hour to go. We'll continue to keep you posted. Meanwhile, Cameron Artis-Payne, watch this little run that set up a touchdown run by him. He's at 103 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half, and Auburn leads San Jose State 35-10.
You know, Jesse, all around the league, we're seeing them run up scores. And, of course, the opponents were overmatched this weekend almost across the board in the SEC. That's the transfer from Texas, Jalen Overstreet, who was one of several run off the team by Coach Charlie Strong. And so he will have to go off to the sideline with that helmet coming off for at least a play. But that is the young man who was playing over at Texas. So Williams will come in as the running back. Johnson checks over the sideline. The receiver's getting a look, and a little bit of confusion out there. Trying to get it straightened out here on 2nd down and 9. Nice throw on the slant for the first down, and they did a good job that time with Ladarius Brown, transfer from TCU.
One of those big bodies in the perimeter field, 6'4", 220 pounds. That's why Sam Houston State felt their best chance in this game physically was on the outside. Guys like that, one-on-one.
First down, and now it will be 2nd down and 10 after Thomas makes the sack. We've talked about the Bearcats and the number of transfers from Texas, and of course they worked the Texas high school circuit over there, stay in touch. And Coach told us that a lot of these youngsters, when they transfer, the first person they call is the high school coach. So they always want to stay in touch so that they're on speed dial with some of these youngsters. Texas Tech, TCU, we've mentioned Texas, Baylor. All these youngsters from those schools have transferred to the Bearcats. Johnson in trouble. The pocket breaks down. This will be 3rd and long.
Well, Brent, to your point, Sam Houston State has their hands full right now. But folks, they're going to be a very good team, and they're going to compete again in the FCS. They've gone to the playoffs each of the last 3 years. There's so much unfamiliarity. New coach, Willie Fritz, last year's head coach, goes to Georgia Southern. They got 18 guys starting today that didn't even play in the spring. So it's a work in progress for Sam Houston State as they move along. But they're going to make noise in the FCS again. I think this is a very good team playing tonight.
Ranked again in the top 20. It's a conference that includes Eastern Washington. There's the Huskies, all they could handle today. And here is Johnson taking off. Almost got the first down, but that was a nice tackle by Jalen Collins.
I think you're in 4-down territory at this point, where the way you're going, and I would continue to ride Jared Johnson, especially in the run game. That they're going to punt at this point, but in order for them to have any success, you see a player down for LSU. I think Jared Johnson really needs to kind of spearhead this offense with his running ability.
So we'll take a break while the player, defensive end, back up DeAndre Clark, but he walked off under his own power, and hopefully we will see him as Edwards, the Aussie punter, with White standing back at the 10-yard line. Fair catch. the 18-yard line. Well, Josh McCown went to Sam Houston State. He transferred from SMU in his senior year, and he passed for 3,400 yards and 32 touchdowns. It was the best in Sam Houston history. Ranks him 8th all-time in career passing yards. Drafted, you might recall, by the Arizona Cardinals, played very, very well for the Chicago Bears when Jay Cutler was hurt last year. And now tomorrow, he'll be starting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Dan Rather, another of the famous alumni to come out of Sam Houston State. Brandon Harris is the quarterback. Kenny Hilliard, the running back. So this is our first chance. Jesse, let's talk a little bit about Brandon Harris.
I think the first thing fans at home are going to see when he throws it is just how much arm talent this young kid has. You know, some quarterbacks have really strong arms, but they have to strain to throw it. Brandon Harris is the opposite. He has a flawless, almost effortless delivery of the football, and he can absolutely spin it.
They're working Fournette and Hilliard again together, and tripped up before he get back to. Well, he did get past the line of scrimmage to get back to the original line. I can see it. And that was Kenny, the ball carrier that time. So it would appear that Jennings' night is done. 6 of 9, 181 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Your impression of Jennings?
Well, so far it's been virtually flawless. I'm not so sure he's necessarily done. I think we could see him maybe re-enter the game a little bit later. Remember, against Wisconsin, they brought Brandon Harris in the second quarter for 3 plays. So stay tuned.
Sticking with the running game, and Hilliard and Brandon Harris very ballyhooed, and there was a pretty good battle between him and Jennings for the starting job, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And the crazy thing is, Brent, that Brandon Harris actually didn't start playing organized football until his 9th grade year in high school. In fact, he said he wasn't a huge sports fan, but his brother played football. He's kind of like his hero, and that's how he got into it. So surprised to see him here playing in Death Valley, having only played 4 years before, guys.
Terrence McGee checks back in. And Harris on the keeper gets a good block at the corner before he is run out of bounds near the first down marker. And that was that youngster Agbaroji got to him.
Well, Brent, and what Maria just said, Anthony Jennings won the quarterback job because he outperformed Brandon Harris the last 2 weeks of training camp. I think the volume of offense got to Brandon Harris, only a true freshman. I think just organization and offense is what he's struggling with early in his career. In high school, he played out of the shotgun solely. He never had to call a play in the huddle. He had a wristband. He'd yell out a number.
Personal foul, late hit, defense, number 36. 15-yard penalty added on to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Maybe take a look back this again.
Yeah,
Brandon Harris out of it, yeah.
That was Agbaroji, Eric, number 23, and he clearly was out of bounds on that play, so that's a good call. There's the play action, and Harris incomplete, and he's looking for the big man of the night, Traven Durrell.
And these reps for Brandon Harris are invaluable. Again, playing under center, having to get the play call in from the sideline, communicate that to your offense in the huddle, at the line of scrimmage, change the play. His physical talent is off the charts. Like you just saw the arm strength right there. It wasn't accurate, but that was a hoax. The subtleties of playing the quarterback position are things young quarterbacks learn now in these types of situations. This is big for Brandon Harris.
Keeps it. Strong run, breaks free. 15, 10, 5, touchdown. No Heisman pose for Brandon Harris. Give me to my teammates. A 46-yard run, and it was a beauty.
This reminds me of Tommy Frazier, the '95 national title game, breaking tackles against the Florida Gators, and Ben Hanks just keeps the legs churning, always moving forward. It's not just a strong arm, guys. This guy can also tote the rock, a reason why LSU fans in this offense needs to be excited. They've got a lot of talented skill players, a lot of talented backups right now, all across the board.
What did you say the Gators put up today?
65?
65. Blocked. Picked up live ball. Or got it. And there is the young man who committed the personal foul. He's about ready to put him on the scoreboard. Agbaroji takes it the distance off the block. And there is a penalty flag, however. A penalty flag, and I see the LSU players walking back, which would indicate that it might have been an offside.
They're going to get Trenier Orr, number 7, came off the edge a little bit early on this play.
Offside. Defense. Number 7. Replay the try.
So about the only thing that's gone bad for LSU so far has been special teams, especially point after touchdowns and tries. You see here, just gets a way early jump. Yeah, that's right. There's nothing you can do about that if you're LSU.
Yeah, I figure, wow, he swallowed that. And that will help you block it, all right.
No doubt.
Indeed.
You know, and one thing it's true, Sam Houston State has had a penalty problem early this year. They had 16 against Eastern Washington. Yeah, they had 10 in their win last week against Alabama State. And right now, they're not good enough to overcome a team like LSU or some of the better FCS competition because of the penalties.
So LSU decides, let's go for 2. They send Jennings back over the top. Kenny Hilliard. So you cheat on my extra point kicker. Okay. All right, let's go for 2. By the way, that gets back to one they missed.
There you go. There you go.
Touchdown.
There's balance in this world.
This was as nifty a piece of running as you'll see.
Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom.
Watch this effort by 27.
I love the way you walk.
Airborne.
And I love the way you talk.
It was all Bama and that day. So who do you want to send to the playoffs, folks? You want 4 teams from the LSU? I mean, including LSU? You want 3 teams?
A lot of football to be played.
You got that right. I'll wait for that first poll to come out in October before I get too upset about it. And here comes Hill now. Jesse, you know, we came into this game really wanting to see all of these youngsters that you talked about, and they're giving us an eyeful.
No doubt about it. You can see why LSU fans, I think, were so excited about this number 2 ranked recruiting class. There are some difference makers playing here tonight. We're seeing some at quarterback, seeing some at running back, and some at wide receiver. Remember, they lost so much a year ago with Zach Mettenberger and Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, and Jeremy Hill, all to the National Football League, and 3 of those guys were early picks, but the best teams are always able to reload. Sam Houston State's not Alabama. They're not Auburn. They're not Florida. But you got to be impressed with these young guys from LSU.
Swinging past the Hill. Got the edge that time. Out of bounds for a solid penalty flag. Ooh, looks like an assistant went down there too. Is this another late hit?
It looks like it.
Personal foul. Defense. Number 33, late hit out of bounds. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Speaking of those talented young freshmen, Jamal Adams was the number 2 ranked safety out of high school last year. You'll see Jalen Collins tries to get a hat on the runner, and right at this point here, if you're the true freshman, Jamal Adams, you can't launch into him. He's out of bounds. It's an easy call.
Yeah, well, first of all, he was way out of bounds.
Yeah, way out of bounds, right. I mean, listen, he's excited. Young guy on the field trying to make a play, and you know, Les Miles, you saw him get a little bit angry with Fournette earlier. There's a lot of true freshmen here excited playing, but they got to calm down.
Johnson goes that deep arm, but inaccurate. I mean, the closest person there was Thomas, number 13 of LSU. And so reminded next Saturday, Central Florida goes into Columbia to play Missouri. And Ragin' Cajuns have got Ole Miss, and we will be down in Gainesville.
Big injury you got to watch. Braylon Hurd, that talented running back with the ankle injury from Kentucky. He's healthy in that game. The Gators need to watch out on defense.
Second down and 10. Incomplete, and this will be 3rd down and 10 as the pressure that time was coming from Clark. Remember, he was the young man who was shaken up about a series ago. Nice to see that he's back on the field.
I think my biggest question mark for LSU's defense moving forward is the defensive line. They've lost so many big-time players over the last couple of years, and we know this is a line of scrimmage league in the SEC. These are the guys that need to play big here early this season. A lot of talent, no doubt about that.
You know, Jesse, for Sam Houston State, it's pretty obvious that they're going to have some problems replacing Brian Bell, who is the all-time passing leader, and he is gone this year after using up his eligibility. Johnson with a running play. They'll be forced to punt again as Thomas makes another stop.
Yeah, they also lost their starting tailback, who's an All-American the last 2 years and playing in the National Football League this preseason. For Casey Keeler, it's a lot of new pieces. He's a new face on the sidelines. Again, you've got a lot of new transfers, a lot of guys on the field that weren't here back in the spring, and the expectations are high in Sam Houston State. They've played in 2 national title games in the last 3 years, but this guy's a winner. He's been a champion everywhere he's been as a player and as a coach. He's going to have this program heading in the right direction. There is not a doubt about that.
High punt. This is going to be down inside the 10. So that was a beautiful punt. And White let it roll in, hoping it would go into the end zone, and it did not.
You look good.
All right, guys, there's the 2 quarterbacks. Anthony Jennings, 6'9", 181 yards and 3 touchdowns. Brandon Harris is your leading rusher. 2 carries for 54 yards, most of them on that touchdown run of his. McGee will check back in. Jesse, you called it. You said that we're going to see more of Jennings here tonight. His day is not done. Hands off, and here is McGee. Good effort on that run.
And Brent, I don't think the quarterback competition's done even after this game necessarily. I think this is going to be something that is ongoing a little bit as the season goes on, not just on game day, but in practice. And it's not uncommon so far in the SEC. You're kind of seeing that at Alabama also with Blake Sims, Jacob Coker. Both guys got in their game today against FAU and both threw for over 200 yards. But Anthony Jennings certainly has built on his performance last week against Wisconsin, but he's going to get pushed by Brandon Harris throughout the rest of this game, and competition is good. It makes players better. They've got 2 excellent young prospects at the most important position on your football team. That's got to make you feel good if you're Les Miles, Cam Cameron, or an LSU fan.
Well, Latu is the injured Sam Houston State. That is another thing that is on the mind of these FCS schools when they get an opportunity to get a nice payday and show them play. You just don't want to suffer a lot of injuries in games like this.
Good point.
You want to keep the kids healthy for the Southland Conference games, because that's the important part of their schedule coming up. As you watch Jennings out there, Jesse, you were talking about him. I just think he has a little more presence than he has more athletic ability, but it just seems, you mentioned assimilation of the attack as he hands off to McGee, and they're content now to work a little clock here with a 35-point lead.
And Brent, what he needs is just more confidence. And he's 2-0 as a starter coming in today. Saved the game against Arkansas last year, but he's 16 for 40 throwing the football in his last 2 big games. People remember a bad pick-6 against Iowa in the bowl game. He's never had a game like this against an inferior opponent where he could go out, stat it up, come out of the game early, really feel good about himself. Offensive coordinator Cam Cameron told us that he's better than he thinks he is. And Brent, in this league, in the SEC, if you're going to beat Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah, good point. First down for LSU.
You've got to know you're the man. If you're Anthony Jennings, when Mississippi State rolls in here in 2 weeks, he needs to know he is the man. That's why it's important he plays well in this game and has some success.
This is big. I think that's a center. It is. That's Ethan Posick. Now remember, they're without Elliott Porter. So let's take a look at this. There's his teammates. His fellow offensive linemen are down there with him. And on the other side, we see that De La Rosa's down for the Bearcats. So let's take a break, and both injured players remain down. Ethan Posick in the scramble in the middle of the offensive line there, Jesse.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good sign. Well,
it's definitely a good sign to see him get up.
Yeah.
He certainly needs assistance, but I think when you go back and take a look at this, you get a chance to sort of see what happened. You'll see Ethan Posick here. He's the center. Right here. Just take a watch. Right guard Evan Washington, number 75, right beside him. He gets falls into that right leg. You see that? You see his ankle sort of turn under the weight of a 334-pound right guard in Evan Washington. I think that's kind of where the injury occurred. Unfortunately, in tight quarters on the offensive line, that's a very common occurrence. How many times do you see guys rolling into the back of legs? It's very dangerous. It's a part of the game, and you're just happy that Posick was able to get off the field with some assistance.
And De La Rosa's walking off under his own power for the Bearcats, so that's a good sign. And Jesse, meanwhile, that redshirt freshman from Lindale, Georgia, number 72, that was Andy Dodd, who had it Posick on the shoulder pad as he was going off, and now Dodd checks in. He will be the center, and down below Maria tells us it is that right ankle which you saw with it collapsing into the leg area there. So here's the redshirt freshman now with McGee, the running back. Move the quarterback up right under center, and incomplete.
The thing you worry about having your third team center in is the center quarterback exchange. In the pregame, I saw Anthony Jennings actually taking a lot of snaps under center from Andy Dodd.
You know, that's the game that LSU has to work on. That was Melvin Jones coming out. That little short passing game where you need the touch that you know so well.
They were very bad in the screen game last week against Wisconsin, going 1 of 4. So, you know, the deep game has been good. It's the shorter passes they need to work on.
Staying on the ground with McGee to the 24-yard line, and inside of 5 minutes here, Daria and the gang will take you around. They don't have enough time for all the touchdowns around the SEC.
That's right. You know, hey, listen, the competition throughout the conference today, week 2, wasn't very, very strong. But how about Arkansas and how about Florida and some of these programs where there were major question marks with the offense just exploding and going off today? It's been pretty impressive. We're seeing LSU do it here.
Third and 7. Got the first down on the completion and yanked away by the defender down there on the ground. Hang on here. Did he take it away while he was still up, or was he down? Looks like he was down, doesn't it? Peyton was the defender right there.
Yeah, it looks like he was down. Giarris make the catch. He's got very strong hands, and he's strong after the catch. It was well defended by Sam Houston State. You'll see this again right here. Look at Giarris, number 9, make the catch. Now the tie goes to the runner. There is no tie. The ball's in his hands. The shoulder and the elbow and the leg hit before it's wrestled away. It's a good call by the officials.
Keeping it off play action is Jennings.
Brent, you made a great point a second ago about how LSU in the passing game needs to be more efficient. If they're not efficient when they get into the SEC schedule, they're going to be running into 8- and 9-man boxes all day. And we know they're explosive. You watch the Wisconsin game, Traven Durrell makes a couple of plays downfield. Giarris has a long catch for a touchdown. You've seen it again tonight as well, but they've got to get better in the short to intermediate passing game where they were so good a year ago under Zach Mettenberger in order for defenses to play them honest and get defenders out of the box to make the running look easier for LSU.
Fumbled, but I don't think you can blame the new center on that. I thought he had a grip on that and just let it get away. And maybe I'm wrong, but
take a look at that again. Again, these are two guys that don't get a lot of reps in practice together. The snap is hot, and it's a little bit off to the left. That's one you'd like to think Anthony Jennings can handle, but again, not getting the reps in practice, that shows up. And it's a very real thing. If you're a head coach evaluating this, you kind of hold your breath, and you have to put the third-team center in the game.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a different speed. The center snap. You said it was a little bit hot. The run is perfectly on the mark. Going for the home run ball. Does not have anybody open this time. Durrell was unable to separate from Creeks, who's taken a spot at that defensive back spot here. And comes to 4th and 10, and they will send in their Australian punter here. Jamie Keene. Against Wisconsin, folks, 5 of 8 punts inside the 20. Now, remember the other Australian who was here, Brad Wing?
Yeah, All-American.
Keene backed him up. And now, here is Jamie for his first punt of the night. fielded at the 14 by Orr. And Orr is buried right there. So, Mr. Palmer.
Oh, here we go.
It's Aflac trivia time. Here we go. Let's see if we can get this one, Jess. That's what Duck was saying. Mike the Tiger was once kidnapped by an LSU opponent. Who was the opponent?
I'm going to say, I'm just throwing this, I don't even know, and I'm just going to throw this out there right now. I'm going to say Arkansas did it. I'm blaming Arkansas right now. I'm blaming the Razorbacks right now.
It doesn't matter.
I'm not even going to pretend like I know this answer. I'm telling you Razorbacks right now. That would seem fitting, wouldn't it? I mean, it could be, you know.
He was blaming the Razorback. Come on.
Hey,
come on. Did you hear what Jesse said?
He's picking fights with his own buddies down there.
Folks, this was the real Tiger that was kidnapped. Not any mascot. And Johnson takes off here. Final 2 minutes of our first half.
Who in their right mind tries to steal a real Tiger? Anyways.
Under 2 on the clock.
Who in the right mind tries to steal a real Tiger anyway?
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about? What are you thinking about? I mean, I've been on the field and seen that thing in person in a cage in front of me playing here.
I'm not going to blame the same school, but one night, way back in the day, they snapped the lock, and they let Mike out. And I don't know, was he found in the track stadium around here? So they had to use a tranquilizer to get him back in the cage. Okay. Johnson's down to the 30-yard line. And White makes the stop. Final minute and a half here.
Big for Sam Houston State. You just got a great stop on defense. And again, you're Casey Keeler, the head coach, just finding anything to build on. Coaching moments, coaching points. You want to see your team fight. How great would it be for the Sam Houston State offense to march down the field here at the end of the half, generate some points and some momentum? All right.
You missed for the first time this year.
No T-shirt this week.
That opponent was right down the road in New Orleans.
How about that?
Tulane.
See, that makes sense. They're close. if you're going to take them anywhere.
But you've answered a lot of Aflac questions. So no T-shirt.
No T-shirt
Can't have a Mike the T-shirt.
All right.
This okay, Jeff?
I'm not going to lie. You went off the radar on that one. That was an off-speed pitch. I was waiting for the fastball down the pipe again. First 2 weeks, you gave me some heat, and I saw those better. That one, I didn't know you had that in your pitch count. I didn't know that was part of your bag of tricks there. Getting to learn more and more about you as we go along. That's good. I'll be on watch next week.
Mike the Tiger is just simply one of my favorite live mascots. And they've got a palace here outside the stadium that he lives in. You folks in the neighborhood sometimes, come on over. Take a look at Mike the Tiger. He's fun. And he is a beautiful, beautiful Bengal Tiger. There's a penalty flag on that play. On the final 124.
Composure. Need to have it.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 59, the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
It's Jamari Rasco, eh?
And he knows better. He's a senior.
He's a veteran.
And I'm not so sure why it's chipped. It's 35-0 at the end of the first half. You'll see here at the end of the play. It's an incomplete pass. He goes to pick it up. He gets a little shove by the running back, Keyshawn Hill, and turns around and basketball-style chest passes the football into his face. Composure hasn't been very impressive. We've seen the young true freshmen have some issues, which you'd expect. Come on, Rascal.
Johnson will drop it in underneath the Hill. And Hill with that second effort. First down on the play, and Thomas again making the stop. Hill's a good-looking little football player.
Yeah, he sure is. Well, again, he had that 79-yard run to score against Eastern Washington, then a 68-yard catch to score last week against Alabama State. One of these good-looking players at the skill spots.
Not that time. There was penetration into the backfield, and that big old lineman, Lewis Neal, was able to wrestle him down.
Like you're seeing a lot of the depth on offense so far in this game for LSU, but you're seeing that on defense now. They roll, they go deep on the defensive line at linebacker and at defensive back. Lewis Neal, he's their third-string defensive tackle, showing some tremendous quicks right there.
Well, Monday at 7 p.m. on SEC Network, join host Dari Noka and all the network analysts discussing the SEC news of the day on SEC Now. SEC Now presented by Regions Bank, also available on Watch ESPN. 2 games in the book for most of the SEC teams and a little bit better read, certainly, of the depth after this weekend when the teams rolled pretty much overall in the conference. Here, LSU leading Sam Houston State of the FCS by 35 with the final minute of the first half. One hopper incomplete.
There's another example of the inaccuracy right now from Jared Johnson, and a throw he just simply has to make, and the execution level that's asked for in this type of game. He looks like he's gingerly walking around a little bit right now. It's been a physical game. He's definitely gotten hit tonight.
The backup, Don King III. Mark Sahatchi, you wonder if we might get a little look at him in the second half. His daddy was a good quarterback down at SMU. Johnson facing a rush incomplete. Now 4th down, final minute here of the first half. Edwards was the intended receiver.
I think it was Dwayne Thomas, their backup safety, coming off the edge, getting his hand to deflect that throw. A lot of talent, no doubt about it, on this LSU defense. Speed in abundance all around the field.
White goes back to return this punt if he can. Edwards. Not able to back it up into the end zone for a touchback.
Tigers. Be interesting to see what Cam Cameron does here, what Les Miles decide to do. It's, you know, you're up 35-0. I think common logic says just take a couple knees, go in at halftime. But, you know, again, we talk about coaching moments for young players like Anthony Jennings in a 2-minute situation. It's one thing to rep them in practice in these situations. They do it every week. But when you have a chance with 2 timeouts, this isn't, they're going to take a knee. But it would have been an interesting opportunity to see what he could have done.
So that will Jennings looking up at that clock right.
It's close. The game clock, play clock. He's not really. He wanted to jog in. He wasn't really sure. There you go. There you go.
Coach Miles is with Maria, so let's go down below.
Coach, we've seen a lot out of your freshman players. Brandon Harris with a touchdown, Leonard Fournette with a touchdown in the first half. How would you assess your youth's performance in the first half?
I think they're doing the things we need for them to do. It's, you know, I think they'll see this film and think that they can be a little bit better.
It seems like you had a teaching moment after Fournette's touchdown. What was your message to him on the sideline?
Well, this is about a team and about what we're trying to get accomplished, and you know, I just needed for him to understand that.
How do you plan on assessing the quarterback situation? Who will get snaps in the second half?
I think it'll be similar to the first half, kind of see how the second half starts and see if we can put some points on the board.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. Les Miles and LSU with a comfortable
price to some people in the passing versus running breakdown, but Baylor last year 359 yards per game in the air, 259 yards per game rushing. They still run the football a considerable amount, and last week, even with the numbers, and they rushed for 261 yards, that was the biggest problem for Art Briles after the game. He did not like the way they ran the ball last week. So Baylor to kick it off here just before halftime. Kyle Peterson will squib this one, and it's gobbled up at the 45-yard line. And looking for a little bit of room to run is Chris Deaver Jr. Everybody wants to tackle him. Couldn't get him on the ground. And remember, they're doing all of this with 49 points. They don't have Bryce Petty tonight.
They don't. And Bryce is a tremendous quarterback. So again, they have depth at the receiver and obviously depth at quarterback with Seth Russell. But Bryce Petty, he's obviously a potential Heisman candidate. You know, I know that he probably misses being out here because these could be his yards. for that prestigious award. But I can tell you one thing about Bryce. I know he doesn't really care about that. I mean, you look at his road to where he's been to now. He just wants to play football, and it's not about the stats.
Atzenweiler taken down shy of the 50-yard line by K.J. Smith. And you're right, Ben. He waited a long time to play for Baylor. He gray-shirted. He went to junior college. He came here. He was behind RG3. He was behind Nick Florence. Finally gets a chance to play last year. Could have gone in the NFL draft. Many people had him as a first-round pick. He wants to play football. He knew he could come back here and play.
Well, it's the smart thing to do, too, because, yeah, it's nice to be looked at in the NFL, but he saw the bigger picture. He understands that he still has to do things to get better, to be NFL ready. Goes out to the quarterback camp with Trent Dilfer, learns from some ex-players. I mean, this kid cares about his craft and is going to do everything he can in his senior year to hone it and be a high draft pick.
Originally committed to Tennessee, winds up here at Baylor, and it's worked out well for Bryce Petty. And resting him has worked out well for Baylor as well with 49 points as we go downstairs to Christian Steckel, who's with our Browns.
Well, Coach, yesterday you told us that you thought you knew what you had, but you wouldn't know for sure until he stepped on the field. 440 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns. What did you find so far in Seth Russell?
You know, I found that we're protecting him really well. You know, the O-line's done a good job. I don't think he's been hit tonight, and to me, that's the big key. You know, we knew we had some guys that could play at receiver. Still not run the ball like we need to, but defensively we're playing well, and we're executing a little better offensively. So we're making strides. You know, we got to flip it around, play again in 6 days. So that's kind of our deal right now. We don't have much time to get ready.
Coach, thanks for the time.
All right, thank you.
Hey, guys, as we set it up back to you, I guess 5 touchdowns. They're up and down the field so much, who can keep up with them?
Well, that's something that we didn't talk about, and I'm glad he brought it up, is the offensive line protection. I mean, Seth has not had anybody in his face, and he's shown great poise in the pocket because he's
for these young players. But this is the key for LSU. The core of this offense for the next at least 3 years are going to be these 4 guys right here. And so it's very important. They got off to a good start. They can start building on that confidence. You have to be happy if you're Les Miles and you're an LSU fan based on the way these 4 guys have played.
What a great touchdown run. You put the team above yourself. Les Miles learned that from somebody named Schembecker, first name Bo. In that locker room up in Michigan when Les played, there was a sign that said, the team, the team, the team. Simple as that. Fournette's back. Turn this kickoff along with McGee, Terrence McGee back. Zach Fournette's going to run up from the 7 to the 30-yard line. Let's check in down below with Maria Taylor.
I caught up with Casey Keeler, and he was telling me that Sam Houston State right now, they could have been in the game early, and they gave up some big plays. He said the flea flicker is really a part of their offense, but he really wished they would have had to just thrown it away instead of giving the ball up to LSU. Also, some injury updates for the Tigers. Ethan Posick, it's a right ankle injury. They'll probably hold him out for precautionary reasons. Also, Connor Neighbors at the fullback position. It's a bone bruise on his right leg, and they're going to hold him out as well, guys.
Like I said, Anthony Jennings obviously is going to start the first series. So number 10, moving out to take the first snap. And the key thing is Posick's injury. That will be something that they'll be very concerned about. Fournette with the opening carry of the second half.
You know, it's a really good point, Brent. I think the key for LSU's offense, at least the first half of the year, is going to be that offensive line. We talk about all the inexperience like Fournette and the quarterbacks and receivers. The offensive line that is very experienced, very big, very physical, they've got to be able to dominate at the line of scrimmage and carry this offense. And when you looked at their performance last week against Wisconsin, against a fully loaded D-line, they didn't win. So they're going to have to play better. This is Sam Houston State today, but in 2 weeks against Mississippi State, these guys got to be good.
Keeps it. Got the edge. Close to midfield. Well, let's follow up on just what Jesse said, because let's take a look now at the schedule. Louisiana Monroe coming up, and then look at that, just what Jesse told you, Mississippi State on September 20th.
It's a team a lot of people are kind of have their eye on as a potential sleeper in the SEC West.
Jennings hit for a loss. on that play by P.J. Hall. And then that back-to-back road games in October.
Brent, the key is how quickly can this offense gel. Mississippi State at Auburn, defending SEC champion, at Florida, Ole Miss, who beat them last year, all before the month of November. And if this offense takes time, once they get into SEC play, the skill position guys aren't up to snuff, then it could be too late for LSU in the SEC West. We know how tough that division is.
2nd down and 14. Fournette at the 41-yard line. Everett makes a stop for the Bearcats.
We haven't seen this very often tonight. 3rd and long situations for LSU, and how do they manage these situations? We talked about how this coaching staff evaluating everything. It's not just the explosive plays, but how do you respond in situational football? And Anthony Jennings going to be looked at here. Decision making, does he try to force something? Take the easy throw? It's all part of a young quarterback maturation.
Running to the right, throwing the deep ball for his target, juggled, and Durrell can't hang on this time. Everett.
Traven Durrell is the definition of the big play receiver. It's hard to imagine. He's had 13 career catches now in college. All of them have gone for first downs or touchdowns. All 3 of them today for touchdowns. He almost took that one away again. I mean, that's twice we've seen him elevate. First time he did it in the end zone on his 3rd touchdown catch. This time he can't come up with it. You got to give Mikael Everett credit on that, though. He's been battling on an island with Traven Durrell the entire time. This young Sam Houston State cornerback making plays.
Or back deep for the Bearcats to return this punt. Fair catch. At the 13-yard line. We'll take a break.
Those are
primetime football. Kentucky.
Wow.
How many games have you broadcast since you...
I haven't been back. This will be the first time going back watching a game at Florida since I played. A lot of good memories in that stadium. But I'll tell you this right now. You want the VIP treatment? Hang out with 15. Hang out with old Lefty. You don't want to pay for a haircut or a parking pass or anything? Get part of that convoy. I'll be there too.
Now, if we take a look at the game, let's not overlook those Kentucky Wildcats. Yeah. Coach Stoops doing a good job. His 2nd year, he's recruited pretty well. And Jesse, the Gators suffered a big injury today.
They sure did. Jake McGee, tight end. He was a transfer from Virginia. Went down today with a leg injury. He's going to miss the season. That was going to be a big part of Kurt Roper's offense. They also got dinged up at left tackle. DJ Humphreys, who was the #1 left tackle prospect coming out of high school. He's out too with a bit of an ankle injury himself, or they think 2 to 3 weeks. So we talked about Braylon Hurd, the Nebraska transfer playing running back at Kentucky. Got off to a great start against UT Martin last week. Some injury concerns for both sides that could have a lot to do with the outcome of this game. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
This is 3rd and short. They did not get the first down. Hill with a fine effort. So this is 3rd and 1 here for the Bearcats, and Johnson burns a timeout. Well, there's Casey Keeler, first year as head coach of the Bearcats. Very successful coach at Delaware, where he won a national championship.
It's 30 seconds.
Joe Flacco was one of his fine players over there. He was not the quarterback he won the championship with, but he transferred to Delaware from Pittsburgh. And in 2 seasons, Flacco set 20 University of Delaware records, including most career completions, season records for completions, attempts, and yards, 4,263. And so when the Ravens were getting ready, we were told by Cameron, the offensive coordinator, when the Ravens were getting ready to draft Flacco, they wondered why he wasn't the captain. They don't like to draft a quarterback unless he's a captain. So they went directly to Casey Keeler, and he said, listen, he transferred in here, but believe me, he is our captain on the field. Make no mistake about it. He's a great leader and a fine young man. Ravens making their pick. So then, when Casey's looking for a job and wants someone to recommend him to the Bearcats, he calls on his friend Joe Flacco for the only time and the first time, and it was successful when Joe made the call to someone at Sam Houston State, recommended his old coach from Delaware. And here is Casey Keeler, learning the ropes in the state of Texas. Good football man. Worked for ESPN. Broadcast some games, actually, for ESPN3. Worked for NFL Films. Was great friends with Ron Jaworski. My old buddy Dick Vermeil cut him once when he walked on as a free agent.
He was the last cut, though.
Yeah,
Almost
he was.
made it, right?
Last
Won
cut.
a national championship at Delaware as a player, as a linebacker.
White from the 31. And he is thrown down close to the 40-yard line. We'll take a break. LSU headed for its second victory of the young season.
24/7. Keep your eye on the nose guard from Wisconsin on defense here. Spot shadowed. They're going to snap the ball directly to middle linebacker Kendall Beckwith. He fakes the pitch to the punter. The nose guard is looking at the punter, thinks he has the football. He was in position in the backfield to make a tackle on Beckwith. If he does, that guy right there is getting questioned all week long. Why did you call that fake punt? LSU easily could have lost that game. It ended up being a great call by Les Miles and a huge momentum shifting play in the game.
This is Darrell Williams, and he's a freshman, Louisiana. You know, we talk about, Jesse, coaches around the country, and everyone gives Nick Saban at Alabama, and understandably so, very high grades. But this fellow right here, when you take a look at his record coming from behind in the fourth quarter.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
He's better than 500 when his team is trailing in the fourth quarter. And it's not just calls like the fake punt you saw in the win against Wisconsin. He's always had that great feel since he's been at LSU on when to take a shot on offense, when to sell out and blitz. He has that feel. He's been criticized in the past for poor clock management. You can say what you want to say, and he's been called the riverboat gambler. But at the end of the day, the game is never over with Les Miles on the sideline. He's a big reason. Going into his 10th season, he's got 96 wins here at LSU. That's the most of any team in the SEC.
Numbers don't lie. You look it up. Nobody's even close to him when trailing in the fourth quarter. And you take a look at the amount of talent that this LSU team has sent to the National Football League over the last few years under Miles, and it is just unbelievable. There are cornerbacks, there are defensive tackles, there are wide receivers. I counted unofficially 8 wide receivers in NFL camps, 11 LSU defensive backs, and 11 LSU defensive linemen. Amazing the amount of talent that gets jobs in the National Football League, which opens tomorrow. Williams. So here's Jesse. Again, numbers don't lie.
No doubt about it. And I think part of it is tremendous recruiting. I think part of it is developing players. You see LSU, the only team with more draft picks in the last 4 years is Alabama. Let's not forget, LSU benefits in recruiting being the only big program in the state. It's not like in Alabama where they have Auburn to compete with, or in Florida where there's Florida State and Miami. Here in LSU, they get everybody. And they're starting to trickle into Texas. They go around the rest of the Southeast. They've got bringing some dudes, and Les Miles and this coaching staff, they coach them up.
3rd and 7, and Jennings runs away a little bit for trouble. Comes across the 45 to about the 44. We'll see where they spot the ball. You know, you go to that point, and I see that Texas A&M did get underway against Lamar, scoreless with 13 minutes left. They had a lightning delay over there. But you go to that point, one of the big benefits of Texas A&M coming to the SEC, it allows these schools like LSU, Alabama, the Mississippi, all the rest, all the SEC, to go to Texas to recruit.
Right.
Because they can tell the parents, you know, you're going to be able to see your child on television now, too.
Yeah.
When you get the SEC network in your home, or you go to Lubbock and recruit somebody.
The rich get richer, don't they?
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's like you.
You're buying next
and these
week
SEC pools you're playing.
I'm counting on you. I'm on full scholarship in Gainesville with you and Tebow. Come on, man.
Go to a 9-game conference schedule like the Pac-12 does and the Big 12 does to avoid weekends like this.
Here's Frank trying to break out. Johnson, he was a receiver. There is a safety. Let's see what happens.
Ball came out.
Did the ball come out? It might have been down, too.
Referees are signaling
They're giving
LSU
the ball, LSU football on the 1. That's a call Deion Jones was there. He had the football. Jones, take a look at this, Jesse. It was close to being a safety for a moment.
Jared Johnson's kind of behind the line here, and he's just kind of trying to buy time and scramble. It's DJ Welter, a linebacker, that comes in to try to make a tackle. I don't know how Jared Johnson even came out. You see the ball comes out there. The question is, was his knee down, and where was the football if, in fact, his knee touched? First, you got to see if the ball comes loose before anything touches, and they're going to review this. You need indisputable video evidence to overturn this, and the ruling on the field was LSU ball. It's hard for me to see from at least that angle if the ball came out before anything touched the ground. See, you know what? Looking at that angle, I think the ball did in fact come out before his knee or elbow hit.
Ben Oldham is the replay official. Brad Rogers, our SEC referee. KC asking for an explanation as instant replay runs it over and over.
The previous play is under further review.
I think the question on this becomes, is there any kind of video evidence to turn the call over on the field?
Right. See here again, he's going to have the football in his right hand. He's clutching it and palming it. Now you got to see knee, butt, elbow touches there, but it looked like the ball came out just a fraction of a second before his left elbow hits the ground. If they stick with this call, I think that's the right call. Take a look again.
So it would be first and goal.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed of a fumble. It's first down.
I think it's a good call.
Let's give McGee a touchdown here, Coach.
Put on number 18, 1-8.
Yeah, let's let 18 get the touchdown. Are they sending him out?
No,
Fournette comes out.
They got Darrell Williams also, the other true freshman tailback.
Yeah.
Two true freshmen are going to line up here in the backfield. You take a look at this play again. Again, I think it's the right call by this officiating crew. It's a good job by LSU's defense, forcing a turnover. Now, Jared Johnson's had a bit of a rough night tonight. The accuracy, ball security.
If there it is. Williams busts across. Darrell Williams. The defense was probably peaking at number 7 back there.
How many running backs do they have? I mean, honestly. I mean, we talk about Kenny Hilliard, Terrence McGee. You got the #1 player in high school, and Leonard Fournette. Now Darrell Williams, a guy that ran for over 2,200 yards and 32 touchdowns last year as a senior in high school. You bring this horse on the field, line him up at fullback. I mean, it's embarrassing how many prospects they have at the running back position here at LSU. Season game for the final, big matchups, in-state rivalries in conference. And I just think players don't want to do it. Fans don't want to see it. And I think today was a good example of what could happen. Don't take anything away from LSU that played Wisconsin last year, Alabama that played West Virginia, and some of these other tough non-conference games, Georgia and Clemson we saw in week 1. But today, as a fan, it's rough.
Another touchback. Let's check in with Dari Noka in the studio. Dari.
All right, guys, let's check in on Texas A&M. They struck quickly, as you might expect, against Lamar. Kenny Hill, the handoff to Trey Williams. Trey Williams goes 33 yards for the Aggie touchdown. And they have the 7-0 lead in a game that started over 2 hours late, guys.
All right, Dari, thank you. And here, of course, it has been all LSU from the opening minutes of this game. They got an interception, struck on their first offensive play at Death Valley this season. 7-11 remaining in the third, and it's 42-0. Williams is the running back. Tries to feather that one. 2nd down and 10.
Dari telling us about Texas A&M. Brent, if there was one thing I would say I've learned about the SEC in the first 2 weeks of the season, that SEC West is more loaded than it's maybe been in years. I love what you said last week. SEC West, 9th best division in the NFL.
Yep.
You look at Arkansas, Texas A&M, some of these schools and how they played here in the first 2 weeks.
Here's Johnson, short of the first time. There is a turning point in the season that's perhaps occurring tonight, and that's the fact that Oregon has come back to take a comfortable lead on Michigan State. Ohio State was struggling against Virginia Tech and all kinds of negative things.
Yeah.
The Big Ten could be in deep trouble to even get a single team into that 14.
Well, it was a game that definitely had college football playoff ramifications and people's perception of the Big Ten. Last year, after Michigan State won the Rose Bowl, beat a good Ohio State team in the Big Ten title game, you have to look at the way they lose the game. The committee is, because good losses are going to count in the final evaluation. But we've seen a couple games early that have a big, imprint on the national picture with the playoff. And we got to play a lot more games. We got to kind of wait and see how this all plays out. But definitely with Oregon winning that game, I think it also says a lot about them. If they in fact hold on and win, they're up 46-27 right now. What it kind of says to them, and the fact that they can beat a quote-unquote power team that runs the football, something they've had issues with here in recent years with Stanford.
Yeah, they're going to win the game, I think. It's just a matter of by how much.
It's impressive.
Spartans have the ball coming down with about 1:30, I suspect, left. And Ohio State's losing to Virginia Tech, and I believe that game's in Columbus. That was the halftime score that we had, and that would be really a lost weekend for the Big Ten. They've had a terrible time in their bowl games over the last few years. And the one thing to remember, there are 5 power conferences, okay? The champion of one of those conferences not going to make the playoffs. And right now, the Big Ten might be the leader in that negative clubhouse. The others, of course, would be the ACC. You got Florida State sitting there. SEC, and you guys can argue out there about whoever you want. We got so many good teams in this conference. I think Oklahoma is standing up in the Big 12. And out west looks like it might be a little bit interesting with USC and Oregon. And Brandon Harris returns, Jesse.
Opportunity to get some more reps here after a very good first drive in which he let him down for a score.
Jesse, you talked about it, and let's go back again on this list of these key guys.
So Odell Beckham Jr. is a first-round pick. Jarvis Landry, I thought, was the best slot receiver in the country, second-round pick. Jeremy Hill's a second-round pick, and Zach Mettenberger led the NFL in the preseason in passing yards. You can't just replace that. It's going to take time. It's amazing to me the expectations at LSU are still so high, even after losing players like that, because of the guys they're able to recruit.
Penalty flag on this.
False start. Offense. Number 41. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Maria, Zach Mettenberger's picture was up there. Jesse was talking about Tennessee Titans. I understand you had a conversation with him.
Yeah, we talked about the effect that offensive coordinator Cam Cameron had on him. He said he always focused on his lower body mechanics, quick feet, short stride. That led to him becoming more accurate. And then on the mental side, just preparing like a pro. He knew he had great experience and followed everything that he did. And he said he never held his past against him. Most importantly, guys, they build trust, and now they talk often, all the time, as he's trying to build more confidence in the league, guys.
Interesting. Fournette in a battle and not going to get much.
And, guys, it's important to remember, this offense last year was prolific, and it was record-setting. And Cam Cameron was spreading the field on first down. They were pushing the football deep down the field. I think for fans, there's a lot of young talent here. Guys like Leonard Fournette, who you're looking at right now. There's some big-time playmakers. It's one thing to do it against Sam Houston State. You got to watch these guys do it when the big boys roll in here, when you get into the SEC competition, to really find out where this offense is. But they're not just going to duplicate overnight what they did last year. That was special based on the players they had.
Harris down to 25-yard line. That'll bring up fourth down. So Cam Cameron came to LSU from the Baltimore Ravens. And you can see the rankings on offense over the last couple of seasons, and the dramatic, and I mean it is dramatic, way they turned around. And Cam Cameron would not. Well, I asked him if he'd like to be a head coach again at the FBS. He said not at this time. I think he's very comfortable here, and who wouldn't be? This is Orr, and whistle down. A reminder that we've got a triple header on the SEC network next Saturday. Central Florida and Missouri Louisiana Lafayette, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Florida. Jesse, talk to me a little bit about Central Florida and Missouri.
Well, Central Florida is going to be a very good challenge for Missouri in this game. I was impressed. I watched Missouri's game earlier today against Toledo, and Matty Mock really found a groove throwing the football. 3 for 5 touchdowns, ran for 1 himself. You know, they had to lose. They lost some big-time players at wide receiver. And wide receivers Bud Sasser and a different group of guys are starting to step up now and make some plays. But UCF, remember, defending Fiesta Bowl champions. I know Blake Bortles isn't there anymore. That's still a very good football team.
Bortles was impressive in Jacksonville. And tomorrow, of course, the season actually started on Thursday night with the Seattle Seahawks impressing all of you. And now we'll see what the rest of the big boys come up with tomorrow. The Dallas Cowboys playing the San Francisco 49ers. Be an interesting game down in these parts. And of course, breaking free now, Lewis. 30, 25. And finally wrestled down by Rashard Robinson.
Remember, Rashard Robinson was suspended for the opening game. Didn't start today. He's really a shutdown type cornerback back on the field now. But here's winning on the perimeter, what they wanted to do all day. Getting Jedediah Lewis the ball in space, making guys miss. Nice explosive play.
Overstreet, the running back, after that 48-yard run. Here comes Overstreet, bursts. This is the young man who was dismissed by Coach Charlie Strong and the Texas Longhorns. Sam Houston State giving him a chance here. These kids would dearly love to get on the scoreboard. Overstreet. Thought he might have had the first down.
Yeah, you know, from a physical standpoint, he looks like he belongs on the field with LSU. Big running back, 6'2", 212 pounds, vision, can break tackles. You can see this Sam Houston State team. We talk about the transfers and Ladarius Brown and Derek Edwards and Keontae Griffin from Baylor. Different guys that are going to give a lot of FCS teams on their schedule this year. Coach Keeler talks about the 12-round fight. You got to take these guys seriously. They have playmakers that have played at big-time programs sprinkled all throughout the roster.
Yeah, they play in the Southland Conference. They've been very successful. Of course, they're without their record-setting quarterback, as timeout is called here with a first and goal. So the Southland preseason poll did not favor Sam Houston State, Southeastern Louisiana, and McNeese State. And how about what McNeese State did today?
Yeah.
Beware of that team.
They gave Nebraska all they could handle. It took a crazy Amir Abdul a catch late in the game with a ton of broken tackles to escape. That would have been Nebraska's first ever loss against an FCS opponent. They're big time. You look at the rest of the schedule: Abilene Christian, Central Arkansas, right here and right here. These guys got votes in the FCS poll this week. So, I mean, that is a brutal. We talk about the SEC and the Football Bowl subdivision, the Southland Conference and the FCS. It's murderer's row. Look at some of these teams. It's big time.
Hey, don't forget the Big Sky.
Yeah, that's right. That's your backyard, right?
You bet. The Montana Grizzlies, the Montana State Bobcats, and the Eastern Washington just dominates.
Where's North Dakota State playing?
We got them out of there.
Oh, yeah, you got rid of the best team in your conference.
I want them in the Big 12.
All right.
I want them in the Big 12.
You know what? I'm with you. I tell you what, Iowa State doesn't after they lost to them last week.
First and goal now. Come on, Bearcats. Now it'll be second and goal.
Is that?
Getting a call from the sideline. Williams is the running back. Crowd here, of course, they want the shutout. So do those defensive players on LSU.
Oh, yeah.
You better believe it.
Oh, yeah. They're playing for it.
Yeah, absolutely. They want the goose egg.
Sam Houston State gets this. They'll have earned it.
Looking. Intercepted. Didn't get it. Defensive back. Ricky Jefferson saves the shutout.
Sam Houston State trying to use play action on the fake reverse to open up a window. They're going to bring this, and they're trying to get a lane to throw a slant route in coming from the right side of the screen. Jared Johnson just holds on to this ball a little bit too late and throws it right into the face mask of Ricky Jefferson, who is standing right in the lane. It's a great catch. This is a rocket. He jumps up in the air and plucks it out of the sky. But I'll tell you what, if you're Jared Johnson, there's a lot of teaching points in this game. Accuracy hasn't been great. Ball security's been bad. And obviously, playing against a defense like this, that simply can't happen.
He's over there with his offensive coordinator. That's Phil Longo.
Armstrong.
And that's Diarce, I believe, who made that catch that time. John Diarce.
And here's that arm strength I was talking about. Effortless on the run. Just flicks it. And the thing comes out hot. You want to talk about revolutions, velocity. I mean, that thing is spinning.
Now they come back with the toss play, and that's Darrell Williams. He's the running back right now as we wind down the clock on the third quarter.
You know, just touching on a point we made earlier about the expectations fans have. It's one thing to sign the #2 recruiting class. Fans just expect guys to take over for guys on offense because they have a big ranking beside their ESPN 300 high school ranking number. You got to prove it in the big games. Les Miles should be happy about the way his young guys have played today, but you know, before you totally evaluate this, wait till the SEC.
Breaking free, getting a block at the edge. He looks like he's going to be a strong fight.
Oh, yeah. You know, and again, this has been a four-man rotation at running back over the last several years here at LSU, and there's no reason to think it needs to be any different. With all the talent they have really sprinkled across the field, but you're seeing most of it tonight, I think, in the backfield with these talented running backs.
Letting the final seconds of the third quarter tick away. We'll take a break. Come back with the final 15 minutes. LSU headed for a victory. Great signal. I happened to be driving. I'd been taking scores of football games for the newspaper up in Chicago. And I happened to hear that call by J.C. Politz. I thought it was one of the great calls I've ever heard on a radio. And I just became a huge Cannon LSU fan for a while.
Only Heisman Trophy winner at LSU ever?
Yeah,
is that right?
That's right.
Wow.
That's Dupree. That's your youngster there.
There he is. He's a guy that missed last week's game against Wisconsin because of ankle and hamstring issues, but #1 receiver out of high school, doing a nice job getting low for that throw.
Williams again. Very impressed with his toughness. That youngster looks like an inside the 10-yard line bruiser to me.
And you know what I like, Brent, on that last play too, was Brandon Harris at the line of scrimmage audibling and getting the offense into the right look in the run game. You know, we talked about how he had played in a quote-unquote valet offense. Take a listen. Now, he never had to do this during his high school career, but learning and growing, it's not just throwing spirals, it's also being in command.
There's interference. Came flying. The field judge picked it up out there. Dupree. So Malachi might have been headed for a touchdown. Let's see what the call is.
These corners for Sam Houston State, they've been on an
pass
island
interference.
all night long.
Defense, #7. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That's Trainer Orr, who probably is their best corner.
Yeah, and a transfer from Cincinnati. You're going to see here a lot of jostling, you know, hands. I don't really, you know, looking at that, I don't know. I mean, it's nothing that really kind of jumps out at you. You know, I'm not even so sure that football was catchable in the first place, but you know, just a little bit of hand tapping. There wasn't anything too incriminating, I thought, looking from that angle.
Melvin Jones will be the lead fullback. Williams is here. It's a 1st and goal. And let's see what Williams can do. And he's down about the 3-yard line, and it'll be second down and goal. At this point, with the 42-0 lead in the fourth quarter, Les Miles is just going to say, we'll saddle up. If he gets in the end zone, so be it. And if he doesn't, also so be it.
Yeah, I'm from the Steve Spurrier school where, you run the plays that you were recruited to run. And it's up to Sam Houston State to stop them. If this coaching staff from LSU wants to continue evaluating young guys, that means throwing the football, so be it.
There's a mistake over there by number 76.
Offense.
He's back up.
Number 76. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Brandon Harris chose to come to LSU so he could throw the football under Cam Cameron and Les Miles. And I know, there's a lot of fans that say, well, there's not a lot of sportsmanship involved in that, but this is the reality, and it's kind of what I grew up in playing under Steve Spurrier. I was throwing the football and we were up 82-6 in a game once. That's what happens.
Reached and grabbed. Now you know why Malachi Dupre is recognized as one of the finest young talents to be recruited out of last year. This is a great catch.
The number 2 dual threat quarterback throwing to the number 1 wide receiver at a high school, fluid athlete Malachi Dupre at 6'3", getting those long arms underneath that throw. That's just talent. You can't coach it. Another young star potentially emerging here for this LSU offense.
Man, Malachi really looked good on that, didn't he?
Sure did. Who hasn't? For LSU's offense
that is it.
So far tonight.
That's true. Look out, Gators. LSU's coming after your high total mark. One more look. Long arms, great reach. And the beat continues in Baton Rouge.
Musburger money.
I didn't. LSU with 500 yards of offense here tonight.
Because there's more. That's why. Because there's more where that came from. No, it's been a rough night for Sam Houston State and Jared Johnson, their quarterback. It's a great opportunity coming into this kind of environment, getting to play a team like LSU. Certainly didn't turn out the way they would have liked, but still, this is going to be a game they talk about personal stories for the rest of their lives.
Now Hill's going to come out. Gets out across that 20-yard line that time. We'll take a break, come back, and see if the Bearcats can get on that scoreboard. Pretty good truck.
Yeah, we
this
are.
Evening, the SEC Network.
Absolutely.
We've got Scott Matthews as the producer, and we want to wish happy birthday to our director, Patrick McManus.
Yeah.
Patty Mac, we
Patty
call
Mac.
him. Yeah, happy birthday, Patty.
Not only does that guy know football, he knows very good wine.
He does.
He's a wine connoisseur, almost maybe a sommelier in the making, I might say.
Yeah, he gets to turn in the expense account.
That's right. Happy birthday, Patty Mac.
$49-0 now. See what Johnson comes up with against the reserve defenders, and has to throw it away. And backups are bringing the heat, and remember, in a couple of weeks, pretty good looking game on September 20th, right back here in Death Valley. Mississippi State will come rolling in.
No doubt about that. Mississippi State, a team that returns a lot of starters from a year ago. They've got a dark horse Heisman candidate and Dak Prescott at quarterback. They've got the schedule. That's going to be a huge game that I think will have massive SEC West implications.
Second down and 10 for the Bearcats. And now it's third down. Well, the college football season continuing on the SEC Network. There's that triple header, Central Florida, Missouri, Kentucky, Florida. We'll have that in the nightcap. So, Jesse, let's talk about Ole Miss. We've mentioned Mississippi State a few times. They got the Ragin' Cajuns.
Yeah, they do. And Ole Miss has looked really good their first 2 weeks. Defensively, they've taken the next step. They had a lot of young players, a lot of true freshmen playing key roles last year. Those guys look more experienced, very athletic. Full Wallace looked good today throwing the football against Vandy, didn't he?
Oh, yes. Incomplete. And it's a 4th down. So, Ole Miss's schedule. They got past Boise State, struggled a little bit, got a conference win at Vanderbilt today, 41-3. And then they got a couple of weeks to get ready for you-know-who, Alabama.
That's kind of a game a lot of people are pointing to really be a defining moment to find out if Ole Miss has actually arrived. You know, we talk about a lot of the returning talent on this football team, and Hugh Freeze, the job he's done through years 1 and year 2. But this is a loaded SEC West. The years of Ole Miss being a doormat team in this division under Hugh Freeze are long gone. The way he's recruited, the talent they have on the field, that's going to be a great game to watch.
Tre'Davious White is back on this punt. And he'll field it at about the 28. There's daylight. Fine return to the 42-yard line for White. He wanted to take that all the way. Look at
well, you know, and you know what's great about this? Everybody for LSU is competing. It's 49-0, but no one's taking their foot off the gas. You see Tre'Davious White here. Not only is he a shutdown type corner, but he's a weapon in the return game as well, and he almost took this to the house.
30-yard return on that punt.
Take a listen.
Harris hands the ball off to Fournette, who's back in there. Another youngster who's piling up some yards here tonight. Let's take a look over there. He now is their leading rusher with 59 yards. 11 carries for Fournette, 59 yards and 1 touchdown. Hilliard, 10 carries, 53 yards. And Harris, the quarterback, 3 for 50 yards and that 46-yard touchdown run.
And Brent, how about Leonard Fournette and the expectations that surrounded him when he came in this season? #1 recruit out of high school, had been compared to Adrian Peterson.
Crosses the 30-yard line. And he got himself in the doghouse a little bit with this.
Showed some flash early, didn't he? Some great vision, long run, tough running, gets him down into the goal line. The very next snap goes in practically untouched and then has his Desmond Howard moment. Heisman pose, and it was one that Les Miles wasn't very fond of once he got to the sideline. But, you know, you just think about the expectation level and whether it's even realistic, what fans are expecting out of this young true freshman based on his accolades in high school.
Fournette trying to get the edge. Great runners pile up yards late in games when defenses are tired. Great runners have always come on stronger and stronger as the game winds down. It's just, you can look it up.
And he has traits you can't coach, Brent. Vision, cutting back again. One-on-one open field quicks for a 230-pound tailback, and then the speed to almost make it to the pylon. I mean, that's a reason. That's the type of guy. As a true freshman, and you had made this mention pregame watching him on the field, he just looks different.
He does.
I mean, the true freshmen aren't built like him.
Yeah, there's no question.
I mean, that's why you're the #1 player coming out of high school.
Now they put Hilliard in that fullback spot that Cameron's been using, and he bangs in for the touchdown. So that's a formation. Get ready, SEC West. Cameron's going to slip in other fellas into this fullback spot.
You can't blame them, can you? I mean, with all the depth they have at that position, why not try and get these 4 guys on the field as many ways together as you can?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing to keep an eye on with Les Miles' team is the center. Ethan Posek was injured in the first half and out. Andy Dodd has been handling the snaps. He finished up with the first unit, and he's been working with the second. Delahousse, he missed his first extra point, but he's been perfect, but he tends to pull him to the left. There again, as you folks saw it from behind. Put too much of that hook into that leg. Tana.
Boom, 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 boom.
If this holds up to form, folks, this is going to be a touchback. Although Hill did run the last one out. And Gamble's going to try it again. They've used 2 kickoff men tonight. This one's returnable. And again, it's Hill from the 4. Daylight on the left side. Fine return out to the 35. So, Maria, what's this about you and Hilliard in a basketball game? I hope you beat him.
Well, you know, Brett, you always said you would draft me first, so I was really just trying to do right by you. But, yeah, we played a little bit of horse, except if he missed a shot, he had to spell UGA, my alma mater, and if I missed one, I had to spell LSU.
Good
so
form.
Who do you think won?
Well, you both look. No, that's good form. I think you got it.
That's right, team. I ended up getting him. He challenged me in the game, though. We had a lot of fun.
Maria played on the women's basketball team at Georgia. That's not a good bet by Kenny Hilliard.
That's unfair.
You got to know that. Outside of you, Brent, she's the best athlete on this crew.
Don't sell yourself short, Jesse. T-shirt day.
I'm a tremendous slouch.
Let me report. Don King, the backup quarterback. Don King the third. And again, the son of a young man had a nice career at SMU. He's the quarterback right now for the Bearcats. So he does get a little action here at 9:54. But you see that? Listen, Maria wasn't a basketball player though. She was a volleyball player.
She played both.
Well, yeah, the 1 year.
Yeah, I mean,
coach was shorthanded.
Talk about Leonard Fournette. What you can't coach. You can't coach that kind of athleticism from Maria. If I'd had that, I'd have been a first-round pick.
Yeah, boy, she upheld this group, didn't she, with that win?
She sure did.
That's good.
You know, it's interesting. You're watching LSU right now late in the game, and backups are in the game. Kenny Hilliard had a tremendous night as well. And I give Les Miles a lot of credit for keeping this football team focused. They weren't sleepwalking against Sam Houston State. And he had good motivation to his team, I think.
I agree with that. And there's a run by Overstreet for a first down.
The motivation was simple. He said, look, we expect to dominate for 4 quarters in this game. And if you don't do that, there's another team in the SEC, maybe in the West, that's going to pass us up. And if you don't do your job individually, there's another player on this team at your position that might pass you up. Tremendous competition all across the board. They've recruited extremely well, offense, defense, any spot. These guys are motivated and hungry to play well because there's someone behind them that can take their job.
Incomplete.
But just so much depth. You're taking a look right there at number 33, Jamal Adams, and just all these young players. It's impressive. There's no doubt about that. And again, I'm just curious to see it when these guys take the field against Mississippi State in a couple weeks. When they're playing SEC competition, that's when we'll know just how good these young players are and just how seriously you need to take LSU in the SEC West.
Oh, hit hard when he was getting ready to pass. And that was, let's see who that was. Was that number 58 down there?
Sahoni Tahuma.
Yeah,
another true freshman. How about that? There's just no shortage. You'll take a look right here, 58. He's going to come unblocked. No one's touching him on the backside. This is a bust. He had the right tackle and running back try and block Dwayne Thomas at safety. You cannot allow a defensive end to come in untouched. He got there in a hurry, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
More speed.
Wrapped him up.
Les Miles and LSU, they grow pass rushers here. I don't know where they're finding them, but they're coming from all over the place.
King down around the 30-yard line. Dwayne Thomas has been very active, and he's still out on the field.
Yeah, sure.
He worked with the ones earlier in this game.
And he's not just playing deep in the field and covering guys. He's blitzing. And he's getting close to the line of scrimmage and putting his face in the fan. He's another young guy. Sophomore. You got to keep your eye on. It's LSUD.
There's no question, Jesse. These kids want that shutout.
Yeah, no, you're right. They have that swagger, don't they?
They really do, and they've changed return men. They've gone to Trey Quinn. He's the freshman receiver. So we saw White. He had a fine return the last time out, and there's a penalty flag.
Substitution, defense, 12 players on the field, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Les Miles and this coaching staff will grade the tape. We'll find places for this team to improve.
Here's Quinn. Fair catch at the 24-yard line. Ooh.
I've been there. Not fun. And as a freshman, Jadeveon Clowney was the #1 player coming out of high school. 3 years later was the #1 pick in the draft. There are fans that just expect so much, like guys like Leonard Fournette. These guys are YouTube sensations in today's modern media. Their high school games, all-star games, their national signing days are all televised. There's celebrities when they show up on campus.
Bringing Williams. And Williams also, the freshman from Marrero, Louisiana. He's a load.
Yeah, and Brent, it's just hard to be a freshman anymore. I mean, you know, you're expected to step in and be an All-American. And listen, Leonard Fournette doesn't help himself this preseason when he says his goal is to come out as a freshman, win a national championship, and win a Heisman. That certainly doesn't help. And, you know, all these guys that you just mentioned in that open there a second ago, Brent, you add Malachi Dupree and Trey Quinn. These are going to be key contributors to LSU if they're going to win an SEC championship. The pressure on them this year is unlike anything you see year in, year out from a group.
Williams barges to the 44.
That's why, again, I'll go back. It is so important that all these young guys are able to have success today. Early in the season, I know it's inferior competition, but they have to build and develop confidence. We've shown you LSU's road to Atlanta. It is going to be brutal before they get to November and have to play Alabama, Texas A&M, that looks like they haven't dropped off at all after Johnny Manziel's left, and Arkansas is even better. All these guys are going to have to grow up very, very quickly, but tonight was a huge first step.
Williams thrown for a loss that time as the Bearcats stopped him. That was Darren Harris, a freshman from Arlington, Texas, who made that stop for the Bearcats. Looking at the rushing numbers, Fournette 92 yards, Williams 65, and Hilliard 55, and all three scored touchdowns. Jennings threw for 188 yards. Harris has thrown for 45. Durrell, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns, 140 yards.
That's a pretty good average, right?
Yards, 2 for 29, Quinn 2 for 26, and Dupree 2 for 23 in his first touchdown. Here's Harris. Good looking arm, and downfield went Fournette.
How about the catch? I mean, the arm strength jumps out at you. We talked about that with Brandon Harris, but how many 6'1", 230-pound true freshman running backs can back shoulder and pluck the football out of the air like that? That was a laser. This is a great read by Harris. He does the right thing, keeps the safeties in the middle of the field. I mean, that's wide receiver type stuff from Fournette there. I mean, we've seen a lot of young guys just showcase themselves tonight. And it's getting more and more impressive as the game goes on.
Just handling the snap. Harris makes something out of nothing to the 44-yard line. Tune in Sunday. SEC Network brings you a rewind of a classic SEC game. Georgia, South Carolina, 2002. The Bulldogs and the Gamecocks. SEC Rewind, Georgia, South Carolina, Sunday at 10 p.m. on the SEC Network.
Can't wait for that game coming up next week.
Breaking back the other way. Fumble. Ball came out. There's a penalty flag on the play, too, I believe.
Yeah,
a couple of them.
DJ Chark, a true freshman wide receiver, I think is going to get called for a block in the back right at the end of that play. It was a great job by Brandon Harris buying himself time. He only had one guy to beat. Otherwise, that could have been a touch. Sometimes when you got young players on the field, obviously, penalties happen. And then that was a big one right there for LSU. And again, another example that somebody will get coached up.
Block in the back. Offense number 82 prior to the turnover. Sam Houston recovered the ball. It will be first down.
You're going to see here at the top of the screen, watch number 82 just kind of leans into the back of the corner, Mikel Everett.
Yeah, he misspoke a little bit on who was blocked in the back. And the penalty was against LSU.
Yeah.
And that was Pierce, who comes up for the Bearcats here.
A good hustle by Sam Houston State getting in behind Brandon Harris and poking the football loose.
So they got the ball in the 35. They've got 3:19. That was Williams.
And Brent, moving forward for LSU defensively, I just want to watch the defensive line when they're playing better competition. We talked about how they lost Kiki Mingo, Sam Montgomery, Benny Logan, Anthony Johnson, Ego Ferguson, Jordan Allen, defensive end transfers to Arizona. And they're deep and they're talented, but this is a line of scrimmage league. This D-line will, this defense may only go as far as this D-line takes them this year.
Busting free again is Williams. Donovan Williams from Belton. Close to a first down. Next week, looking around the SEC, there's the key games. You mentioned Georgia, South Carolina, and Gurley, of course, busting out toward that possible Heisman Trophy, and then Tennessee, Oklahoma. Tough spot for an improved volunteer team to go into Norman. And they've got the first down at the 46. And then the Central Florida Missouri game, Matty Mock, 9 total touchdowns in 2 games out of the quarterback factory.
Yeah.
That is Columbia, Missouri. Barry Pinkel, that staff, they do an outstanding job. And here with Sam Houston State against the LSU backups with 2 minutes to go. Bell trying to go deep down the field, got a receiver, and there's a penalty play. That was interference.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there was any doubt about it on Ed Paris. He was chasing Gerald Thomas. That'll give him another 15 yards. 157.
Pass interference, defense, number 24. 15-yard penalty, first down.
So, Jesse, as you take a look around in the South Carolina, Georgia, what's your Georgia game? What's your feeling about next week?
Huge game. Recent years, that's been the game that's really determined the SEC East Division. At least had a big part of that. We talked about great recruiting. Georgia's running backs. You mentioned Todd Gurley. It's not just him and Keith Marshall anymore. Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel. They've got some guys that they can rotate. That might be the best running back group Mark Richt has had. And against the South Carolina defense that we saw really struggle against Texas A&M last week, that's going to be the key matchup to me in that one.
Interesting play here. That is Beckwith. That's the young man on the fake punt who ran for the first down, number 52. He's a backup linebacker. He's also listed as one of the fullbacks on this LSU team as he pushes Bell way back. And the defense on the sideline said, let's finish off this shutout. 56-0. Minute and a half left for the Tigers. Down goes King.
It's Tahuma's second sack. Sione Tahuma. A lot of young guys put on display tonight, not just on offense, it's been on defense as well. Guys got a lot of meaningful reps in this game. Now, you learn from them, you do the tape study, you move on to Louisiana Monroe next week. It's a good-looking team, there's no doubt about that.
Impressive youngsters here in LSU. We're going to see a whole lot of them over the next couple of years. That's one thing that an LSU fan can say tonight. At least these youngins aren't going to the NFL after this season. You know, got to stick around for a couple of years. Who knows what the future holds. Completion of the 29 sacks. That's Ricky Smith. He's from College Station. And of course tonight, Kenny Hill and Texas A&M lead Lamar 24-3 in that game over there. So this will do it. LSU is 2-0. Casey Keeler. The Bearcats will go back to Huntsville, Texas to regroup. Meanwhile, Les Miles said a nice job to some of the players over there on the Bearcats. Coach Casey Keeler and Les. Maria down below, and let's go to Maria with Coach Miles.
Coach, you said your team is on the road to becoming a dominant football team, but you needed to be in control from start to finish. How would you assess whether or not you accomplished that today?
I think we improved. The interesting thing is you put some of those young guys in the game, and you see what their self-interpretation is, and you expect them, to play more veteran, to make greater decisions, and that's why you play them in this games like this. And I think we'll be able to see this film and say we're improved, but still a ways to go.
Well, one of the plays we saw, a freshman to a freshman, Brandon Harris hitting Malachi Dupree. What do you remember? What stands out from that play?
Well, it was a great throw and a great catch. I mean, it really was two really quality performers. Down the road, maybe that'll happen regularly.
What's the biggest improvement you hope to make moving forward into next week's game?
Well, we play a better opponent. I mean, we think that this ULM would be a very, very quality test. We'll have to buckle down and improve and let our young guys see if they can take more steps.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to everybody here at LSU that helped us get ready for this ball game. Enjoyed talking with Coach Miles. Jesse, I know you loved the performance of the youngsters.
Yeah, I sure did. And this football team dominated in all three phases in this game today for 4 quarters. The young guys on offense and defense played well. They should gain some confidence from this. It's important they take the next step next week against Louisiana Monroe because, again, Mississippi State coming in here to Tiger Stadium in 2 weeks, a veteran team with a lot of playmakers. That's going to be a big game to determine what could happen this year, I think, for LSU in the SEC West.
Good experience for the youngsters of LSU tonight. They roll over Sam Houston State.